Well, James Bond is one of the longest running movie franchises of all time, and there's a reason. Most guys want to be James Bond. He is the ultimate super spy. He's good with guns, he's good with martinis, he's good with women that have perverted names. He's an all-star class act. And in the latest one, we got Skyfall, which once again stars Daniel Craig as a kind of different Bond, one they tried to dive a little bit more into the psychological with. And in this one, he is searching for a person who's trying to take out his boss, M, which is pretty handy, seeing how he's already been declared dead, and thus he's already very hard to find. Being a spy on top of it also really helps. Skyfall is one of the most ambitious of the James Bond films. It has really good characters, it has a really good story, it has decent action. Just about everything about it is engaging, except for one aspect: James Bond. I never liked Daniel Craig as James Bond. I think he's a bore. Nothing about him ever did anything for me. Every time I look at him, he seems to have just one expression, and that's trying not to pass a fart on an elevator. He never draws me in. Now, if you take out all the other James Bonds, if you take out Pierce Brosnan or Sean Connery, a lot of the classic Bonds and the charm, you say you want to do something different with it, that's awesome. My problem is that Daniel Craig just doesn't draw you in. He has one expression, he has one look, and I just don't find it that engaging. But everything else in the film, I think, is really, really good. As I said, some very unique characters, a lot of decent action, and actually a story that you're really drawn into and you want to know what's going to happen in the end. So, just based on that criteria, I say it's a pretty damn good movie. Just try to ignore the main character. I know that sounds strange, but I did enjoy it.
Wow, are you off?
Well, you're an ass.
You're an ass.
Okay, so you're telling me that Daniel Craig is actually, like, engaging and that he draws you in.
Well, maybe not as engaging as George Lazenby, but, you know, I think he's up there.
Like Pierce Brosnan and Sean Connery and stuff. I mean, these people had a charm, and there was a mystery, and people wanted to be, you know, these James Bond. Who would want to be Daniel
Bond? They've played that Bond to death.
Okay, but here's the thing. If they want to do you think this one's, like, more psychologically interesting and he has, like, mental issues and emotional issues and stuff like that?
Well, you actually got to learn about some of them in this movie versus the other films.
But just because they tell you he has a backstory, does that mean that the character, that he himself actually pulls you in?
Okay, now somebody coming from the line of thought that the best Batman was Michael Keaton, who has 4 lines of dialogue in the entire movie.
But he sold those 4 lines. He was mysterious. You wanted to find out more about. He had expression in his face. He had emotion, and he had an identity. I never got an identity out of Daniel Craig.
The man is a trained killer. He's like a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, you think those people would be really interesting, but he's a bore.
Do you want him to go on frickin' Dr. Phil or something and just, you know, explain his entire backstory?
No, but what you pointed out...
What character did Sean Connery have? What character?
Oh, he's just the smooth talker. I mean, no, you're right. In terms of
that's deep. That's real deep.
No.
He likes to drink martinis and he'll bang anything until
No. I don't need deep. I'm saying that if they're gonna do it, really dive into them and get an actor who can pull this stuff off. Well, I admit it's not as deep
as, like, say, Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible movies, which pretty much ripped off James Bond. But...
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, we should probably address that. This movie steals from a lot of our spy movies, including itself. You know, including other. It's like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, no, it's got a knock list like Mission Impossible. The concept of Bond going rogue is straight from License to Kill. There was a lot of GoldenEye in this movie.
Yeah, there's sort of
it pretty much plundered itself and everything else in the spy genre. But what I find most ironic about this whole thing is, have you noticed how the Mission Impossible films have gone out of their way to be like James Bond, and now we've reversed James Bond is becoming like,
it's
this is
more
one of
about
the
the
smarter. Yeah, this is more about, like, actual, you know, gasp in a James Bond movie. There's spying going on.
Yeah, they're actually...
he's sitting there spying on the, you know, like, sharpshooters, and there's a knock list, and, like, this is the first Bond film in a while where I'm like, oh, so he's actually going to do some spying. Oh, got it. That's awesome. He's actually...
But he still uses his real name. If he's what spy uses his real name? I never got that.
Well, so that is the one thing about the movie is it's a strange combination of, like, we're going to make this smarter, but we're still going to give you dumb Bond, because we've decided that the audience, when it gets down to it, will, you know, be like, yeah, we want a smarter Bond, but really they also want Bond to still kind of be the same kind of, like, you know, chain smoking, hard drinking,
man whore.
Yeah, man-ho, like, who will just waltz into anywhere and they're like, and what's your name? Bond. James Bond.
That's my
problem. If I were a supervillain...
Oh, there he is, bam!
I would be like, I'd be sitting there in Monte Carlo, and I'd be like, oh, that's that dude that all these other guys for 20 years have been talking about. I would blow him away right there. I would take my chances,
I'll tell you my other
run out of there, blow
my
him
other
away.
problem with Bond in this movie, and this actually isn't even a Daniel Craig thing, is that he starts off, I don't think I'm giving anything away here, he starts off essentially dead. You know, like he's shot in the opening.
Alert. If you can't figure out, he's coming back.
I think people know that James Bond isn't going to die in this for real, but he's shot, and then you cut to Judi Dench doing a great job as M. I mean, probably her best.
This is the only film that I think knew what the hell to do with Judi Dench. When they cast her in GoldenEye, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. You can do something interesting. And they were kind of
they do.
hinting at it. It's like, I think you're a
But
dinosaur.
here's the thing.
But they never
James Bond is shot. He's dead. Cut to Judi Dench. Judi Dench is going through a lot of trouble because she made the call and her job is on the line. She's put a lot of people at risk. What the hell is James Bond doing? He's enjoying being dead. He's like, sleeping with some, chick under a waterfall or something like that. Drinking with CG scorpions and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, you could have really die, why did he want to stay away? I'm sure there's a reason, but they never really go into it. He's like, I like being dead. And meanwhile, this woman's trying as hard as she can to keep her job going together. You just cut to him making out with some broad under a waterfall.
The MI6 killed him. That's why I didn't want to go back. If you worked for an organization and you're sitting there and your boss says, well, he's sitting there on the train. Maybe we can get this terrorist later. No, take the shot. She's just like, blow him away.
They get over that pretty quick. It's just like,
and the sniper they hired sucked and blew him away. And I fall 200 feet and go flying down the rapids into a weird, creepy opening credit sequence. I'd be like, you know what? I'm taking
That's
5.
fine. Why do they resolve it in like the first 5 minutes? I mean, did you notice that? It's like, you shot me. Yeah, okay, I'm back. I mean, boom, they're just back. And
because if they didn't, it literally would have been Brian De Palma's Mission Impossible.
But that's what I'm saying. If they're gonna do it, go all the way. Go with like a psychological say. They tap on it, but they never go all the way.
Because there was License to Kill, which they're also ripping off. So yeah, the film's a little
I say if you're gonna do this, then I say keep it. If you want to make James Bond fun, make him funny. If you want to make him serious, make it serious. Don't try this, like you said, sort of the dumb Bond, which is fine. We like dumb Bond, but if we want to do the serious stuff, let's really dive into the serious
here's your problem. You're wrong. And 2, if you try to make him just funny, well, we've done that before for 50 years?
Yeah, no,
50 goddamn years!
Yeah, no, try something else.
If you want to make him serious, they did that more in Casino Royale, and they were like, it's not the Bond I grew up with, it's just, it's so different, I can't adapt.
Somewhere I think there's a half and half, like, where you
That's
can
what they
have...
did in this movie. That's precisely what they did.
And maybe if they got a stronger actor to bring it across, but until then, we just have this one face, this one look, that never smiles, never has fun, which is fine.
Oh, I'm sorry, the
some
chiseled guy who doesn't smile and can stare you in the eye and say, I'm going to blow your fucking head off and not have an emotion about it, is not hard and steely enough for you.
He doesn't... Are they doing hard and steely, or are they doing, like, fragile and insane? If they want to play Bond as a psycho, that's awesome.
That's exactly what they did.
But he's not an interesting psycho. He's a bore.
That's
my
if we're going to
problem.
talk about interesting psychos... Can we at least talk about the villain?
The villain's a ton of fun.
Ton of fun, but I don't know what
he's...
I don't know.
What's his deal? That really is a mix between, like... Okay, I felt much more for him.
Very bad.
I felt more for every single character, including him, and every character, even Q, was a more interesting psychological study than Bond in this film.
Q had 4 lines.
Yes,
By the
but
way,
you know what? He sold it.
He
sold it in just 1 from Daniel Craig.
Okay, I like what they did with Q, but I'll tell you where I lost it when he's giving him. First off, what sort of organization? Basically, yeah. First off, what sort of organization when you can meet in your headquarters is like
meet at a museum?
Yeah, I was like, where are we gonna meet? At the art museum. I know you're like trying to hide out and everything, but what sort of spy organization is like, no, I'm gonna give you your top secret equipment.
A gun and a radio.
Yeah, and it's a gun and a radio.
What do you think we're gonna have? Exploding pens?
Yes!
Why was there no exploding pen? What was wrong with the exploding pen?
At the climax when they're blowing all these guys away trying to break into the.
I wish I had an explodable pen.
I was thinking, like, you know what would have made life a little easier here? A fucking exploding pen.
Just set this down. Nobody would see it coming. Boom.
Yeah, I'm like, like the CIA really did use this stuff. Like you look at like old Russian, like American CIA espionage, They hid microfilm in fake quarters.
Yeah, this isn't unrealistic.
Yeah, it's not unrealistic to expect that, you could have your exploding pen. And by the way, that was a shot at GoldenEye, because that was the
Yeah, I know. I was like,
and
okay,
I'm like, really,
you,
the really, really good
I like
Bond
GoldenEye,
film?
yeah. That's like one of the best. That's
It
one
was
of the
like,
best.
go to
remakes.
hell movie, go to hell.
So, but we're liking this movie. We're liking this movie. We gotta talk about what we
No. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's really good. There is some dumb, and there are a couple of cheap shots, but I really... This is the best Bond film. Well, I liked Casino Royale. I know you didn't, because I don't...
He's a bore! He's a bore! He's so boring!
I don't want to see people
What
kill other
separates
people
him from
and
other spy thrillers? That's my question. When it comes to... If James Bond did separate itself because it just defined the spy thriller, even though it was goofy and over the top, what separates this spy from any other spy that we've seen in other spy movies?
Give me what other great
Born
spy
Identity.
movie are you talking about?
Matt Damon was great as a spy who's trying to get back his identity.
Okay, we're using Matt Damon as the benchmark
Yes, I
now?
thought he was good. Well, not the benchmark, but I mean, I thought he did a pretty good job, and I followed him, and I wanted to know what was going on with him. With this movie, I wanted to know
what was going on in
him.
that movie. I couldn't see anything. Every second they're doing an action scene, I'm having a seizure. Like,
No, what did you think of the action? I thought it was decent. I did think it was great. No,
I thought the action was really good. I thought the interesting thing was in their attempt to make it smarter, the action was more restrained. There are a lot of scenes that are not much and it's more spy based. My favorite scene, he tails this sniper and he just sits there and watches
it happen.
I know. I'm like, that's what that's what a true spy would do. He's just like, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I can actually just watch this happen, figure out what's going on, and sneak in later. He just totally doesn't blow the other guy away. I'm like, that's the spy game.
Then the
you don't
spy
blow
class.
your cover just because you're like, oh, there's some hot chick I'm into. Like, I'm gonna totally just.
Oh no, he lets a hot chick die too. You remember
that?
that?
By the way,
that was pretty douchey.
By the way, audience, if anybody named James Bond comes up to you and says you should totally betray your secret evil organization, I can protect you.
You're
run.
Dead. You're so dead.
Yeah, I would just turn and run, try to apologize and say, this guy came to me, I was to kill him, because Bond can't do shit.
Okay, so we should probably wrap up here in terms of what we thought about. What'd you I mean, I think people know what we like. We like the action. We like a lot of the characters in this.
I like Daniel Craig.
What did you dislike?
It's not so much things that I disliked. I liked them because they were sort of old school dumb Bond. So bringing in the car, some of the dumb one-liners, like, they're dumb. I do respect them, but they are dumb. And the whole bit at the end where, I mean, they try to make Judi Dench badass, and it works.
It kind of works, yeah. I was gonna say,
it gets almost just like comical, where like they're trying to break into this place, and
it becomes Home Alone.
Yeah, M rigs up this entire mansion, and it totally turns into Home Alone, where she's like sitting there like, this is Spy House. I must protect it. Like, I want to see her blessing, like, saying grace over the macaroni and cheese. Like, dear Lord, bless this macaroni and cheese and all who made it. And
you
running around.
Are you thirsting for more?
Yeah, like a BB gun, like, do you gents give up? Are you thirsty for more? Come up here, you big horse's ass. It was just hilarious.
I think I smell spit-off.
Yeah, and there was some dumb that, like, when they're escaping and, like, M's supposed to be the head of MI6, and she's using a fucking flashlight? I'm like, you're supposed to be hiding out. I don't understand, like, dumb things like that, and there are certain throwbacks to the old Bond, like, yeah, the evil girl that he's gonna protect, that, it's just like, sure, whatever, but it did lead to some great lines. That was a waste of a good scotch. That was
a dick line.
That was a dick line, but, like, I like scotch, and that was the first thing I thought.
Well, that's a good sign.
That's like a $500
the movie said you care
scotch.
more about the scotch than the main character. That's always a good sign. Okay, so my...
No, I cared about Bond. I'm just saying I cared about the scotch more than the girl that I knew had a target on her head from the beginning.
That's a good point. Me personally, I like everything a lot. Like I said, I couldn't get into the Bond, but I will say he didn't destroy it for me. I didn't feel like it totally brought the movie down. I just thought, wouldn't this been a perfect movie if they really did either the traditional James Bond or did a real good psychological study instead of hinting at it. But I liked it. I think we can both say that we both really enjoyed the film.
I mean, for me, Sam Mendes would not have been my first choice.
But they did well.
He would for cinematography. Like, this is like a Stanley Kubrick film. All of these shots are gorgeously composed. The action, which I wouldn't have expected, is actually really good. The CGI is limited. It's there, but it's not in your face.
That scorpion looked pretty lame.
Yeah, that scorpion was ridiculous.
But aside from that, aside from the 2-second CG scorpion, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and it's the smartest Bond film I've seen since, I would say, Casino Royale and GoldenEye. Unlike Casino Royale, which I think was going more hardcore, this one was trying to combine, like, Casino Royale with GoldenEye. It works. Is it a little derivative? Sure, but you're watching James Bond. You're always going to get derivative. Like, it's not going to... You're not all of a sudden going to get Citizen Kane out of this thing. Like, so I would say just go in and enjoy it, and I like Daniel Craig. You're wrong.
I think we can both agree, though, it needed more ball busting.
No, I was okay without the testicular torture.
Well, that would have been the saving grace for me. If Daniel Craig got his balls busted, I would have liked it a lot more.
I think it needs more Judi Dench throwing paint cans down at people trying to break in.
Let's make this movie. Daniel Craig getting ball busted, Judi Dench throwing the ball busting thing from the top of the stairs, hitting him in the nuts.
I got one more better thing. As long as we're at it, since it's called Skyfall and it's a reference to like Scotland, all I could think of when they go up there, it's like gray, it's dank, and I'm like, dude, this totally looks like Skyrim. We need some dragons. We totally got to get
James
some dragons.
Bond versus dragons and a Judi Dench with paint cans
James Bond
hitting his balls.
is the Dragonborn.
I like it. Let's make this movie.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for watching. This is Sibling Rivalry. Take care.
I win.